I'm Jennifer Sanasi. You're watching News 24 Live. Well, if you're planning a trip to Europe this year, I have the person that you want to chat to joining me in studio. Lee Cairncross has traveled to over 22 countries, and she's going to let you know how to plan that epic European trip. Hello.
Hey Jen, how are you?
Good.
Great to be here.
I know. You just flew in from Joburg, but you're used to flying, so.
You know what? Yes. I have now officially learned how to pack and under 11 minutes for a 2-week trip in hand luggage.
That's amazing.
Yeah, but you have to learn these things. Trial and error. My first trip abroad, I think I had 2 suitcases with 40 kilograms each. It was disgusting.
My first trip abroad, that I wasn't with my parents or whatever, I also packed 2 suitcases, 20 kilograms each. And my first stop was in Venice.
No!
Where you have to carry everything yourself.
My first trip was to Italy as well.
Yeah.
I missed my train. One of my suitcases came with me. The other stayed on the train. I missed my stop. It was horrific. Couldn't speak the language. Kind of had the policeman shouting behind me. I was like, I don't know what to do. Eventually, I got to where I needed to be. But from that day, I learned, okay, we need to learn how to pack properly.
So that's the first thing that we should talk about. How do you pack properly? Do you roll your clothes?
I do roll my clothes now, but it also depends on where you're going to and what the occasion is for. Like if you're going to Thailand, for example, and it's a beach destination, a lot of your items are quite lightweight and they're t-shirts and they kind of cotton pants and they're easy to roll. Who cares about ironing? You're on the beach, you know, that kind of thing. Whereas perhaps if you're going to London and you're going over for business, it's a bit different, you know. Are you taking suits with? Are you taking jackets with? Are you taking coats along? So it all depends on where it is that you're going. But generally, rolling, safe space, go with that.
I always say if you're going to Thailand, don't even pack any luggage.
No, don't. I mean, everything's so cheap there already,
Just
you know.
buy it there.
Buy it there. I agree with you completely.
Now, we're going to speak about Europe, but I want to hear about all of these 22 countries that you've traveled to. How on earth and when and where and how did the travel bug bite you?
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm South African and I figured you need to travel your own country first before you travel the world. So I did South Africa, traveled quite extensively in the country, did Southern Africa for about a year or 2 years, and it was having my base in Port Elizabeth, where I'm from, and then just kind of going out, you know, doing the Mozambique trip, coming back home, going to Zimbabwe, coming back home, going to Namibia, duning, coming back home. And then I got a bit bored, and I was like, there's more of the world to see. And my first international trip outside of Africa was to Italy, like I mentioned, and that was my base for about 3 months, and I moved from there.
Wow.
So spent 3 months in Italy and hopped over to Spain, came back to South Africa, spent some time here, and I was like, oh, there's more of the world to see. Let me go to some place that's unconventional, but out of my comfort zone, and I moved to South America. I lived in Argentina for a year and a half, and I traveled South America a little bit.
Now, how old were you when you started traveling extensively?
Extensively, I was 23.
Okay, and was it hard for you? I mean, I also started traveling young, but I think a lot of people don't know what they're going to do. They're a little bit nervous to leave home. What's your advice for people who are feeling that a little bit of nervousness?
I think once you leave, it's probably one of the best things that you could do because you start appreciating where you're from so much more. Aside from exposing yourself to other countries and other cultures, it's the best way to actually grow. So if you're young and you have the opportunity, then go. I couldn't travel just for leisure. And so what I did was I found jobs in the different countries that I was in, and I worked to finance my travels. So that helped quite a lot. With Italy specifically, my base was in Chiavari, which was on the Italian Riviera, and I worked, I taught English, I au paired, and I moved from there to the different places. So you can tie it in. It can be a fully leisure holiday, if that's what you're able to afford, right? If you have the time and you're able to do it. But you can pair it up with working, if that's what you prefer.
Tell me about the kinds of jobs you would do overseas.
Well, I au paired, so that's an option as well. We can teach English. You can also au pair if you choose to do so.
I think a lot of people teach English.
Yeah, a lot of people teach English.
It's easy to find jobs doing that.
It's easy in Asia. In Europe, it's a little bit more difficult. The Europeans like exotic people.
Okay.
Let's go with that. So they're quite eager to have South Africans come over and spend time with their children and help teach them English because obviously it's not a first language in some of the countries over there.
Yeah.
If you go to the States, there's the summer camps that you could work at, or they are
The ski and
The
snowboard
ski resorts.
resorts.
There
Yeah.
we go. So if you're a university student, you qualify for those type of visas, and that's some of the opportunities that you could do.
Ooh, that sounds fun. Now, you mentioned you traveled South Africa before you ventured off to the rest of the world. What's your top destination in South Africa?
I feel put on the spot right now.
Ah, ha, ha, ha. That's what I do.
Blyde River Canyon
Okay.
was pretty phenomenal.
Why?
It's just so immense, and it's. I mean, we drove up the pass and it was fog, complete fog, and we're like, oh, we've driven all this way, we're not going to see it, what a disaster. And we just waited for about 15, 20 minutes, and the fog cleared up, and the abyss was just gorgeous.
Wow.
The view was just picturesque, and it's one thing to see things in a photograph, and it's just another thing to kind of be there and experience it yourself.
I went there and it was covered in fog the whole time.
Oh.
I didn't have it clear up for me.
Yeah, no, so you win, you lose.
Yeah.
We were lucky
Yes.
because as we were driving up, it was disastrous. The weather forecast was not good, and somehow the heavens just kind of cleared, and we got to see it.